today we are going to be talking about playing small. I hate the way my industry talks about this. It makes me crazy. Don't play small. I don't know what that means. And it might mean something really different for you than it means for somebody else. Here's what I want to talk about today, and I want you guys just to sort of think through this a little bit. Have you ever, it's like that game, have you ever, right, where you have to take a drink if you have done that thing? So have you ever not said what you really want or said what's really important to you because you want other people to like you? Have you ever gone along with something that made you uncomfortable? Gosh, I feel like I'm talking to teenagers, right? That's not what I mean. I'm talking to grown women who follow along with what you think you're supposed to do because it's what everybody's doing, right? We talked about that a little bit last week when it's like trying to keep up with the Joneses and people who were doing Black Friday deals when you didn't really want to, that sort of thing. So there's the FOMO piece of this, but it's a little bit more subtle than that too. It's not eating when you're hungry. Literally, because you don't want to ask or inconvenience anybody, right? It's not going after what you really want in your business. It's not asking for what you need inside of your primary relationship. It's not making sure that you're taking care of yourself when it comes to what you need to put up boundaries and to feel like you have some safe time and some quiet time. It's also looking like you don't want to make too much money because then it might make people uncomfortable. In this era, as we're rounding out this year, I hope you can take a little bit of time to start to separate where you've actually gone after what you want and where you've pulled back or sort of held back. And I just want to call one on myself here because I've done this at times too. I think we all have, and I'm going to be really straight with you. I think we were trained to, right? Because what happens to women who are really successful, you guys, can we tell the truth about that? With the exception of very few. Oprah comes to mind. Even Ellen didn't escape this. I'm guilty of being one of the people who talks about this is Kamala Harris. When she first ran, I was like, there's something and I don't know what it is. Right? And I'm so embarrassed about that because I think what happened was she's really happy. She's really successful. She's really sharp, right? She knows what she likes. She knows what she doesn't. And I had to take a step back and go, if she was a man, I think she's freaking amazing, right? Like she makes really hard decisions. I don't always agree with her decisions, but that's not the point. The point is she's being true to herself when it comes to those decisions. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm part of the machine, right? Part of the machine that tells us that women have to be likable. Women have to be a little bit softer. Women have to be a little bit quiet in order for us to find them likable. And I really want to give you permission in the last few little bits of this year to not worry about that quite so much. I was talking last week to a group of women and we were really dissecting, I was there as a guest speaker, and we were really dissecting why they were afraid to make money and what was really going on there. And over and over and over, what we were talking about was how scary it is to be out there as a woman. And I was like, you guys, this can't keep happening. We were talking about how we can drop bombs within inches of where we want to kill people. But we can't seem to drop medicine and food within inches of people who need it. And my theory on that is because we don't have more women in the positions that are making those decisions. Because we don't kill other people's children. We don't let other people's children go hungry. We step up and get stuff done. And what we're going to have to crack through in order to do that is this idea that we can't be ambitious and likable. That we can't be really strong and really powerful and really financially successful and be liked. And it's really dangerous, and it starts with little girls. You guys have heard it, and maybe you've done it too. I know I have. I'm certainly not calling myself out like I'm on some pedestal. Well, I don't do this. We have to talk about where we've been part of the system too, and it's not even our fault, right? Like we have to really sort of pull this apart and look at where we're playing in this game. Because if we don't recognize our role inside of it, we can't dismantle it, right? And so we just have to be honest. And you guys know this is a judgment-free zone. I'll never be like, you did what? Right? Like, no. You guys come in here, you guys, oh my gosh, you guys, I did it. We'll be like, oh my gosh, I did that the other day. Okay, let's work hard not to do it again. What can we do instead? Like, we're here to solve the problem. We're not here to point at where the problem is. We're here to solve it, right? Because pointing at who's wrong or who's not doing it right doesn't help anything. It just feeds the ego. Okay, and that's part of the patriarchy as well. And I love this. You guys know I'm reading Untamed, and there was a part in the book where she said, you know, you don't have to control women in a society if they're controlling themselves. what I loved about that conversation inside the book, and I was recommending it to a girlfriend of mine who's also a trainer, her name's Amanda, and I was like, oh my gosh, I almost drove off the road when I heard this. And the idea is that if we control women by keeping them preoccupied about their weight, keeping them preoccupied about their bodies, keeping them preoccupied about whether or not what they're doing is making them likable. If we can keep women preoccupied with this BS, they never recognize who they really are. And they never fully step into all of their potential and all of their desires and all of their ambition, because that will make them not likable. And quite frankly, we will put that first. Well, at least up until now, we've put that first. I would rather be liked than tell the truth. And we know, like, look, you guys know I use the big examples, okay? And then we'll whittle it down to your daily life. But the big examples, I would rather be liked than tell the truth. That can happen in big corporations, right? I don't want to be the whistleblower. I don't want to let everybody know what's going on here. I don't want to be the first one to talk about sexual harassment. I would rather be liked. All of the women who are scared to come forward when they have been sexually assaulted, because they would rather be liked and not be defiled again and berated and go through all of that to defend their truth again. So what I want to give you today is whatever your truth is, right? So we can pull this back into a small thing, right? Like a discussion on Facebook where it's like, that's wrong. A discussion on YouTube where it's like, that is absolutely incorrect, right? These conversations people tend to get in. So there's a balance here in speaking the truth and taking what you get, which you know is my definition of being powerful. Powerful people say what they need to say, and then everybody forgets the second part, which is you got to take what you get in response to that. But then there's also not engaging where it's a waste of your time, the one resource you can't get back, right? Like, so you don't waste your time when there's nothing that you can do there. You could still speak the truth and then exit. That's okay too, because the truth needs no defense. That's the piece that most people are missing right now, because the patriarchy has been so like pushed down on us like that. Like, it's gotta be this, it's got right. And that's why the fighting is happening. I'll get into that at another time, but yeah, so the patriarchy is pushing down, right? So we're fighting about who's right and who's wrong versus trying to solve the problem. And the issue here is that the truth needs no defense. So I joke around all the time. If somebody were to come up to you and say, your hair's purple, if it's not, I know there's some people who have purple hair. If your hair is not purple and someone comes up to you and says, oh my God, your hair's purple, you don't get in an argument with them about that. Because you're like, dude, do you need some medicine? Are you okay? Like, you don't worry that they might be right. You don't take that on like, oh, I must agree with them or they're not going to like me, right? You let the truth just be. You go, wow, that's a really interesting perspective. I don't think it is, but thank you for sharing. And then you leave. Like, you don't engage in that because it's crazy. But somewhere along the line as little girls, right, it starts with the whole like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, isn't your dress pretty, right? And the conversation flips. You ask a boy, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, really? Tell me more about that. For the girls, it's tell me about yourself, but aren't you pretty? And I've actually heard other women say, when I'm talking about somebody who's amazing, they'll go, yeah, she looks good. I'm like, what? What does that have to do with anything? But we've been trained that way. And now all of a sudden we're talking once again about things that don't matter. What she looks like, how fat she is, whether or not she's had plastic surgery, what's going on here. Yeah, but her husband cheats on her, right? All that stuff. It's like, can we not just support that woman? Can we not get that she broke through some of the training maybe we've had? Because we don't do that to men. And what we do anytime we do that about another woman, what are we doing? We're telling other women they're not safe with us too, right? Because the second you turn around, I'm going to talk about how your husband's cheating on you and your butt's big and do you see? So when we're inside this system, you guys, the truth needs no defense, ever. Stop fighting for what is and take all that beautiful time and energy towards creating. Just be. Just be. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the sky's blue, right? Okay, I'm going to go write now. I know the sky's blue. I'm going to go do my live now. Yeah, the sky's blue. I'm going to go write my next newsletter. Yep, the sky's blue. I'm going to go play with my kids. Save your beautiful, precious time and energy for your desires, for your dreams, for your hopes. for your vision of your life. This is not other people's lives, you guys. This is your life. And who gives a shit who likes you? Sorry, she said elegantly. But like, really, who cares who likes you? You think you're going to be on your deathbed surrounded by your family going, God, I wish that lady Susie that argued with me about that on Facebook liked me. No, you're not going to care at all. At all. The truth needs no defense. Watch your behavior when you're putting your needs last to make sure you appear likable. Yeah? And number 3, I really want you to watch your own conversations about other women. Now, most of the women in this group I know are really good at this. Like, the gossip is at a minimum in here. I hope you know I will not tolerate it. It does not belong here. Gossip brings down entire corporations. We don't do that. If there's something you need to do, you go clean it up, you take care of it, or you talk to the person who upset you. You don't talk about them behind your back, right? Okay, so we've got truth needs no defense, stop trying to be likable, and watch your own conversations around other women. All right, I'm gonna get to the comments. Let's see what we got going on over here. We've become part of the problem. I think that's true, but I don't think it's been intentional. I think we were trained. I'm gonna be really straight about that. I absolutely think we were trained. What the hell? I mean, this is so hard for me because you guys know I love Disney, and like Cinderella was my favorite movie as a kid. Like I freaking the Gus the fat mouse, right? And the cat, the whole situation with, love that movie. But let's take a second to look at what it teaches these young girls. Just take a second. One, it doesn't matter what you have to say or do. Are you really pretty tonight? Oh, and by the way, the only way you'll ever be pretty enough is magic. So go call a plastic surgeon, right? And it matters what you wear, and you have to be skinny. And if people are mean to you and you're like a little modest servant, it makes you more likable. Oh, and you can never save yourself. He's got to do it. Right? Just take a second and look at what we're taught. And I say that with, like, that's a double-edged sword for me because I really do love that movie. Like, I loved that whole, it was just so fun as a kid. It wasn't for me the story of the romance. It was watching her and how she kept creating. Of course, this is what I noticed, right? She kept creating out of nothing. Out of nothing she'd create. Out of nothing she'd create. Out of nothing she'd create, right? That's what I loved about it. And it wasn't, years later, I recognized the story that was actually being told, right? So we can find the gold in our society where it is, right? She created, but we also need to acknowledge what's being taught. You are 100% correct in that we can be part of the problem when we start assuming that role. That I don't matter unless I look a certain way. I don't matter unless everybody around me is comfortable. I don't matter unless I do things the right way and somebody else has to come and save me. Just think about that for a little bit and watch where you're speaking about other women in a way that might be similar. This is like what I said about Kamala, right? Like, it's like, there's just something. Okay, you know what that something is? It's our training. It's total crap. And I'm calling one on me too right now. It's on us to go, what are you talking about, Sarah? You love everyone. Like, what is going on here, right? And part of it was I don't always agree with everything, sure. But the other part was, who the hell is she to do that? Right? Like, that's my training, right? Like, what? We don't get to get out there and do it like that. But sure we do. Of course we do. Of course we do. And so our job is to recognize the training might kick in first and go, who the hell is she to, oh, that's not me, that's training. And then underneath it go, oh, hell yeah. What can I do to support that? Do you see? But don't be surprised. I guess the reason I really wanted to talk about this is one, I want this to be a safe space for you to tell the truth and never feel judged so that we can start to clean this up. But the other piece is for us to recognize how it kicks in for us automatically. It's like, oh my God, I did it again. Oh my God, I did it again, right? I just noticed like, whoa. And you guys know what happens because you know I love to study brain science. What happens the more we start to recognize it, the synapses are tight like this, right? It just synapse, thought, action, thought, action, thought, action. But the more we notice it, the more it'll start to pull apart and become a weaker and weaker connection in our own brains so that we can then start with, get 'em girl, right? And it might take a second and go, oh, I heard that thought. Yeah, that's funny. And just go, right? So I want you guys to know that we all do it, we all do it, we all do it. And it's okay because we were taught to do it. But that doesn't mean we have to stay here. That's BS. We can clean this up right away and get going, right? It's like I say, everything's always clean upable, right? You can clean up anything, including being like trained to do stupid stuff. All right, so here we go. I caught myself the other day with my daughter, and she was sad that her friend wasn't replying to her. And I initially thought, okay, what can she do to make more friends? But then I stopped cold turkey. She's 6 and she just wanted to be liked. Oh, that's beautiful. What a generous thing for you to give her is, isn't it so funny how we all just want to be liked? It's like this human condition we're all born into. It's crazy. And your friend who's not replying, she just wants to be liked too. What a generous gift to give her. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, we got conditioned into that ideal body, that size 0. To this day, I learned confidence from my boys. It's crazy how when they haven't been conditioned to feel bad about themselves, they are super confident. That's the ticket. We have been trained to feel bad about ourselves. That's why when somebody says something negative, we assume that's true instead of our gut instincts. Also, remember, you don't need to control women if they're controlling themselves by feeling bad all the time. What would happen to the world? Just sit with me for a second. What would happen to the world if all of the energy and thought and focus that women put on their bodies and on how they look, what if all that attention and time and thought, wasted thought, I don't know, should I dye my hair red? Should I dye it white? I don't know. Should I do this? Should I get it? I don't know. And, right? All that stuff we do. What if all of that disappeared? What would happen to the world that day? How many more new projects would get started? How many more new businesses would get started? How many more children would have access to their mother's hearts? How many more beautiful ideas would be put out into the world? How many problems would be solved? A lot, right? Because again, we don't kill other people's children. We'd be dropping food. We'd be dropping medicine. We'd be making sure the neighbor's kid had her dance costume, right? That's what we'd be out there doing all the time if we weren't trained to instead hate our bodies, hate our hair, our eyes, our, oh, my butt's so big, whatever. All that stuff we've been trained to do. What if we put all of that energy and thought into what was next for us? Can you imagine? Just think about that for a second. The next time you choose to start like marathon minding about, oh, I shouldn't have said that in that meeting, I should have done this. Just take a second and go, wow, what can I use this energy for right now instead? You do that one little thing, I'm telling you, you will change your life. And you might even change a lot of stuff around you too. It's pretty cool. When you were a teenager, there was no size 0. Where did that come from? It's a marketing tactic. Yeah, it's like sometimes, like you guys always, I love that Nestle owns both Nestle and Weight Watchers. It's like they get you going in and coming out. It's amazing. And who's in there? Women. My sister and I were talking this morning and we were admitting how much confidence my brother has. And now hearing you talk, you're like, whoa, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. We all watch it with our kids. If you have boys or girls, you can really watch the difference. And boys have, they have different points where they get hit, but self-confidence isn't usually one of them. Not being able to express emotions, honestly, that's where they get hit, right? But that gets rewarded over and over, right? Just like we get rewarded with the picture of the model on top of the car to sell the car. Who has an orgasm on top of a car? Like, what the hell is that about? Right? But we're all supposed to look like that or be like that? What? And so instead of looking at that and going, that's telling me I'm a carrot, we're like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to do that. I guess I am a carrot and I don't look like a carrot. So I guess I should maybe not eat for 3 days and go to the gym and dye my hair and get my face to look like this and put a bunch of toxins in my mouth. Okay, great. And now, do I look like a carrot yet? It's absolutely frightening. So you guys, at the end of this year, as crazy as this year has been, I want to give you this gift towards the end of this year. Remember who you really are. You are not here to be liked. It's nice. It's a bonus. We all want it. It's human. We all want it. I want it. We all want it. But you're not here to be liked. You're here to honor that little idea that you have been given, that no one else has been given. You were given that little idea. You were given that little nugget. You were given that little fire inside of you. And your job here is to take care of and nurture that. Your job here is not to be a size 0. Your job here is not to make sure everybody likes you. Your job here is not to ignore that fire for the sake of everybody else's convenience. How many times have you heard, oh, she's so selfless, as a compliment? That's disgusting. You do not have to lose yourself to be an amazing woman. In fact, the opposite is true. And I love this. Brennan Bouchard said this in a live program I was with him about 6 weeks ago, I think it was. And he said, at the end of your life, what if your maker says to you, how well did you nurture and honor that gift I gave you? How well did you honor and listen to and cradle and take care of the ambition I put in your heart? And I was like, oh my God, right? Think about that. And you're going to sacrifice that over a fight on Facebook? Really? I'm going to challenge you on that because I think you're here for more. Let me know what you think about that. Very true. The boys have their own challenges and their whole idea of machoism. Yeah. And I have one kid who buys into that and one who is soft and emotional. And I tell them both to never be afraid of being who they are. And don't be someone because your friends want you to be a certain way. I couldn't have said it better. I totally agree with that. Yes. And for our beautiful children, for those of us who are parents and those of us who are aunts, right? And sisters too. Let's help start dismantling this, okay? And all throughout your week, this week, what I want you to focus on is that fire. What I want you to focus on is the burning inside of you, because that's what you're here to create. That's what you're here to protect. That's what you're here to share with the world so that we can change it. Because I'll tell you something, I love men, you know I do. Every single war ever in the history of mankind has been started by a man. Yes, the face that could launch 1,000 ships, but who was launching the ships, right? Okay, so every single one. We need to step up, you guys. We've been hiding. It's our time, and you don't have to take on like not causing wars. I got it. But you do have to take on where you're causing wars in your internal life, where you're causing wars inside your community or your family, where you're being right over being great. And that doesn't mean you back down or you don't defend the truth, right? Even though the truth needs no defense. I'm saying you don't have to not say something when something's wrong, right? Somebody's doing something, you call them out, and then you go on with your day. That's what I mean. Take the time this week to listen to your own training and to listen when you are giving up on this beautiful gift of desire and ambition and hope and vision that you alone have been given. When you are sacrificing that for looking a certain way or for being liked. All right, so that is your goal for this week in December, even when it feels hectic. Do not get caught up in being hectic so that you look a certain way. I'm such a good mom, I did all this stuff. Oh, I'm such a good aunt, I did all this stuff. Oh, no. Do what you need to do to make you feel amazing and to honor the gifts that you alone have been given. Yeah? Okay, I hope that went in. I said it a couple times because I wanted it to actually sink in. All right, ladies, let's make this week amazing, shall we? Should we just like go kick some assets? Let's go do this. Get a little bit uncomfortable. Reach outside your comfort zone so that you can honor your desires, your ambition, and your hopes. All right, I love you guys. Go make this week amazing, and I'll see you next Monday for Coffee with Coach. Bye, guys.